Breaking news just coming across the wire. At 1:30 a.m. local time in Iran, U.S. F-15 and F-16 fighter jets struck at militia compounds across the country. Now, some of you will understand the significance of 1:30 a.m. and what that means. We have hit back, and we have hit back with force. We own the night. U.S. launches airstrikes against Iran-backed militias in the dead of night as a rude awakening. At least one facility used by Iran's militia force to launch and recover drones was destroyed, a U.S. defense official with knowledge of the strikes told Fox News. The U.S. military has conducted quote-unquote defensive precision airstrikes against 3 facilities near the Iraq-Syria border region Sunday evening. According to John Kirby, Pentagon press secretary, the facilities are used by several Iran-backed militia groups engaged in unmanned aerial vehicle attacks against U.S. personnel and facilities. As demonstrated by this evening's strikes, President Biden has been clear that he will act to protect U.S. personnel, given the ongoing series of attacks by Iran-backed groups targeting U.S. interests. The president directed further military action to disrupt and deter such attacks. Quote, the United States took necessary, appropriate, and deliberate action designed to limit the risk of escalation, but also to send a clear and unambiguous deterrent message. A U.S. defense official with knowledge of the strikes told Fox News that U.S. Air Force F-15s and F-16s were used in the operation. The strikes took place at approximately 6 p.m. Eastern Time or 1:30 a.m. local time. At least one facility used by Iran's militia forces to launch and recover drones was destroyed. Recent strikes by the crew drones have targeted Americans in Baghdad and elsewhere. You see, we talked about this. We talked about this at Patreon. We can't talk about it here, but those of you who have been to Patreon and have seen the breakdown of what happened in South Florida will recognize this immediately. This was payback. 3 days. 3 days after the event in South Florida, we've got F-15s and F-16s in the air launching strikes on Hezbollah militias. It's $1 a month. It's $10 a year. It is unfortunate that I cannot speak about it here on this platform, but the connections are there. They go back a quarter century. We detail this. It's very clear. No one is asking the question. No one is asking the question, how could the exact same building, built at the exact same time, by the exact same contractors, with the exact same materials, 1 block north, not have any issues like this? It suffers from the same salt air, the same wind. It's been through the same hurricanes. The ground beneath it, for all intents and purposes, is the exact same ground. It's only 1 block north, and it's perfectly fine. Those of you who've seen my videos over on Patreon know exactly what happened, and know exactly why we launched on Iran. Now, I suppose it really doesn't matter at this point what your opinion of the person sitting in D.C. is. In this particular instance, the right action was taken. In this particular instance, the right action was taken. Perhaps a bit more judicious than if it had been someone from Florida making the decisions, but nevertheless, with the assets that were in place at the time, this was probably the best solution. Someone will probably correct me on this, but I believe it was either Patton or Eisenhower, I can't remember which one, that said, a good plan executed today with vigor is better than a great plan executed tomorrow. Something to that effect. That time is of the essence. We know, they know we know, and now they're feeling it. Now they're feeling it. It did not go unanswered. I'll give you, of course, down in the first pinned comment, the link to the Fox News article, and of course, a link to Patreon so you can see the breakdown for yourself. So that you can see the breakdown for yourself that we detailed this 26 June 2021 at 1:46 p.m. We dropped this video and broke this entire story down. I'm sure there are many out there who will say, it's just a coincidence, really? Really? I don't remember anything in the news that would have precipitated something like this. Any particular event that was reported that the U.S. said it was going to retaliate for, any particular loss. It's undeniable at this point. They're probably not going to come right out and admit it in the news because they can't. Because that would give them gravitas. Guys like this. Guys that do cowardly stuff like what happened in Surfside, like what happened in Khobar Towers. Every 4 years. And that's about as much as I can say for the timing of this. Every 4 years, but not just any 4-year period. There's a specific one that you can see. And I wish it were not so. Things here on YouTube were very different way back when we investigated the USS Fitzgerald incident. We could talk about different things, but even then I had to fight demonetization, and the channel had to fight literally being deleted. And that's why I had to kind of step away from that investigation, but that's tied to this as well. This has all been wrapped up in kind of a nice bow. And I'm sure at this point there's going to be discussion of contractors and lost reports and unanswered reports and grift and bribery and corruption and all this kind of stuff. It's all going to be distraction. It's all going to be distraction. And of course, at this point, still keep the family members in your prayers and in your thoughts. The rescue workers having to still crawl down through there and do their jobs. At some point the next week, they're likely going to be moving the families away from the site so that they can begin the regrettable task of changing over from a recovery to from a rescue to a recovery mission. So, anyway, I will leave it there. God bless. Happy Sunday. Like, share, subscribe. We will see you in just a little while on Twitch for anyone who has questions.